What's the other thing to the pepper? What's the... See, so Anna's just out right now.
Hello, my piglets. This is an exclusive behind-the-scenes video for my bacon enthusiasts, where I'll be talking about the upside-down city sequence.
Like, just what is...
From Pepper vs. Piggy Chapter 2. This is my first time doing something like this, so we'll have to see how it goes. Also, let me know what scenes, sequences, or shorts you'd like to see me do a behind-the-scenes video on. I'm open to suggestions as I figure out how exactly I want to do stuff like this. Behind-the-scenes stuff. Alright, let's start at the beginning. So I wanted to do a behind-the-scenes thingy for this sequence specifically because this was one of my favorite and least favorite sequences to put together for Pepper vs. Piggy 2. I had a lot of fun thinking about how I wanted this to look, but it was a true hassle putting it together. Basically, I came up with this idea because while I was writing Pepper vs. Piggy...
Like, you know what to start with, okay? You know?
I didn't just want to have the characters doing the same thing over and over again. Originally, they would have been going through each level just one by one, trying to grab all the items and trying to make it through the level, and it would have gotten repetitive for me personally. I would have been doing basically Pepper vs. Piggy 1 over and over and over again, and so I was trying to think of new or interesting ways for the characters to make their way through the game. Eventually,
I know that.
Came up with this idea, like maybe I could like flip one of the levels upside down, and so I was looking at different types of levels and seeing what might work for that kind of a thing, and then I came across the city map, and I noticed that these stairs in the city map, they're the same whether they're upside down or right side up, and so it gave me the idea to flip this one over, but I was looking around the level and I was thinking like what could work for that kind of a sequence, and like what exactly would I be doing with that. Eventually I got to the outside of the map, and I saw these cars. I saw the way that they were lined up like this, and I saw that they were all leading out to Grandma Piggy's poutine, so I went ahead and I flipped the city upside down just to take a look at it, and then I noticed that it did kind of look like this sort of like I don't know what you would call it, this sort of like Ninja Warrior style thing where it's like you could probably, if you were really skilled at it, make your way across these things. And then I also noticed the top of the, what do you call this? The roof, the lining, the upper lining, this part above the door. I noticed that this, when it's flipped upside down, it looks like a platform that the characters could walk onto, and then they can make their way over here to make it across this area. So I started writing this scene where these characters had to move across the level in a way that they're normally not supposed to, and then I started just getting like a ton of ideas about how exactly that would work. So
I know that's something, like, so, yeah.
The sequence, it starts with the level appearing above the characters, and then it lowers itself down towards them while they're on the Ferris wheel. And the way I went about lowering the level, I mean, please forgive me if there's a better way to do this, because I am a big dummy and I don't know what I'm doing. I was working with the knowledge that I have. So, but basically I took the whole map as a model, and then in Roblox Studio, I literally, actually wait, let me turn the lighting to what it's supposed to be. Basically what I did was I grabbed the city as a model, and then over here you see this position. I literally changed the number just like piece by piece, repeatedly, just forever. I recorded myself doing this for like 3 minutes or so, and then I sped up the footage, and then I cut out the little parts in between just to make it look like it was coming down. In my opinion, it still looks a little choppy, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. The level, it conveniently lowers in a way so that Pepper and Susan can hop onto this roof exit, and then they make their way inside. They then get to the tippity top floor where they see Jerry, Zola, and Georgie across the way, and the next level that they have to get to is in there, and they have to make their way over there, and the level's glitching out, and it's too dangerous to stay here. So the next moment that happens is Pepper going out onto the ledge, and this was a shot that I was really happy with how it was looking when I did it. I did like this like slow, I pushed forward slowly towards Pepper, and so
I know it's not right, so, yeah.
This being them hopping off of the window and then making their way across the ledge so they can get to this pole. And so this is one of those parts where it was like I knew that I wanted it to look like this, but I had to think about how I was going to execute it. So here is basically what I would do. Basically, I have the shot where we push in to the city building. And so after I would put it into After Effects right here, I would take the file and I would use Camera Tracker, Track Camera. When you use Camera Tracker, it analyzes the 3D environment, and it tries to figure out how exactly it's a 3D environment, and then it starts to find, like, I'm not good at explaining it completely, but basically it figures out how this is a 3D environment, and then you're able to play around with it. In that sense, you're able to put these little 2D images in here. And it acknowledges that it's a 3D environment, and then you can move things around in this 3D environment like this. You see that? So you'll notice in a moment like this, when I put this object here, as it moves, the object moves too. See that? I'm putting these things within this 3D environment, and then they move in accordance with the environment.
You know that, so...
movement as well. So with that in mind, I animated the characters within Character Animator. Character Animator is the software that I use to do all of the animations involving Pepper and her gang, all the 2D animations. It all is done within here in Character Animator. You can see in here, these are all the motions that I had to do to animate her. So like her body and her arms and her legs and everything. She's essentially a puppet that I made. You can see she drags like this, and you can see when I do eye gaze, she's looking all around. And so I record these movements, and then I put it all together to make it look like it's a full bodily motion. So for this specific shot, I just had the one picture here for the point of reference. For the entire shot, this picture is static. But when I animated the characters, I had them moving across the static image like that. I used this image as a point of reference to see how exactly I would want them to be animated and exactly what beats they would be hitting. Right here, you'll see this. This eases into this body
so
recording that I did with her. So as it eases into it, she's leaning forward. This next body motion comes in. That's her leaning forward, and then her hopping down. That was me recording the body animation, looking like she goes down and bounces a little bit, and then she turns around and backs up against the wall to make sure that she's got her back up against it and not going to fall off into the darkness. But when I finished the animation and exported it, I exported it with the character just by herself. I would then import the characters just by themselves, and then you'll see she's not anywhere specific. She's just on her own. This whole composition is just her by herself. So you'll see
I know that, so...
here, that's her. And so I created this flat image, and I put Pepper inside of it, and so when she's moving around, that's literally what it is. I manually would move her around this environment. See these position keyframes? I told After Effects exactly where I wanted her to be, and then she would move to that place in accordance with that. And then, with removing this background, it kind of looks like she's actually
I know that, so...
within the 3D environment. This requires a lot of patience, because it's not easy to line it up to be exactly where you want it to be, and so you kind of got to adjust things, and you got to move things around to be exactly how you want them to be, and then you got to adjust how smoothly and how quickly that they're going to move back and forth between these two parts.
I know it, so...
And in addition to that, you'll notice that when Pepper's walking here, she's in front of this wall, and so another thing I would have to do in this kind of moment within After Effects is I would include these masks. So right here, this is the same clip, same footage, and I would use a mask on top of Pepper to make it look like she's behind the object, when in actuality it's just an image over an image over an image. And she hops over it to give off the illusion that she's like hopping out of the building. And then I would do the same thing for Susan. Same thing for Susan.
No, I know that, so...
Be one of the more satisfying shots to pull off, because this was one of those moments that I knew was going to be very tricky, and I liked the idea of showing off just how dangerous this area was, to show all the darkness and how
I know it's not, but so...
like high up they are, and then to come in close on a personal level with them and see them carefully edge their way out and look down to see how dangerous everything is.
I know that, so yeah.
It was definitely a fun thing to put together, and it was really cool to see that I was able to at least pull it off mostly the way that I wanted it to be. Really fun stuff. Another moment that was fun to try to pull off was when Pepper jumps for it, and so every camera movement in Pepper vs. Piggy 2 is literally me. It's literally me moving around. I would use this plugin here, Advanced Studio Camera. I would use this thing to very simply adjust how smooth my movements would be. So I can adjust, if you look at this, you'll notice that if I have it at 0, my movement kind of starts and stops very dramatically, or very like instantly. If I turn the smoothness up, the starting and the stopping, it slows down like it's easing into a stop. It's a lot smoother, like that. So I would just turn that up, and then
Like, you know, you just have to turn everything a lot myself.
Movements, and I would have to practice it over and over again to make sure it was the way that I wanted it to look. And then once I got it the way that I wanted it to be, that would be the shot that I would use. And so I would kind of rehearse these things, and I would kind of block them out to be the way I wanted them to. And then I would focus on the animation and how the animation would work around it. Same thing, character animator for this one scene. I had the shot as a point of reference, but in this specific moment, this is a sequence cycle. So I actually exported a bunch of images from this shot. You'll see cycle start, cycle stop right there. So when it starts, it actually moves. And when it stops for real. I would use that as a point of reference. So it's just these little images, one after the other. Very simple movement, just so I could track where these characters are supposed to be.
I know that. But so.
And she starts climbing, and if I had a sequence this long, it would make character animator very, very slow. So instead I had these two things fade into each other.
I know that.
So I knew at the start of this moment she's going to be at the bottom of the pole, and then at the end of the moment she's going to be at the top of it. So that's all that really mattered. Faded out from this moment as where her end point, where she's supposed to be, fades in. And the same for the characters in the background, because they're going to be, as the camera moves up, these characters are going to be going down because they're still in the shot. And so I had them move down in accordance with that. So they had their end point over there too. As she gets up there, that point of reference allows me to see how I want her to climb inside of the car. And then similar to before, I would export her with nothing around her. Only this time was slightly different. I had her with the whole frame in mind. And so when I exported this and put it into After Effects, I didn't have to make her one.
You know the right? So, yeah.
Single 3D image. Another moment where I would have to put these masks here. This was 100% a hassle. You'll notice that what I actually did here, again, I do the littlest things. I do these little details that I did not have to do that people probably would not have cared about, and I would still do it anyway because it would just bug me personally, is that when she's climbing it, it wouldn't have made sense to me if her hand was like behind the pole, or I really wanted to make it look like her hand was going in front of this pole. I literally had to go in and I had to put a mask over her hand, frame by frame. Each frame.
That's good now.
The mask moving with her hand. One of those moments where I'm sure there's a simpler way to do this. There's a more effective way to do this. I didn't know what those ways were. So unfortunately, I did the slow and tedious way. I went frame by frame to make sure the mask lined up with her hand in front of that pole to make it look like her hand was always in front of that pole. Another mask right here of her getting into the car. It was fun to execute and it was fun to put together. And it was fun to see how it came out in the end. It's funny too, there are so many, part of what made this take so long is that I was getting all this footage that I thought I would need that I ended up not needing. There's one shot where Pepper lifts herself up into this red car, and as I was looking at it after I animated it, I was like, this really doesn't need to be in the short. I should really cut this down. I put in all this extra stuff because I thought I needed it. I thought I needed the extra coverage when I really didn't. Pepper jumping from the red car to Jerry was also a simple thing. Simple camera turn. And it was funny because I did this way more than I thought I had to. A lot of practice to try to get it exactly the way I want it to be, because like I've said before and I'll say it again, I'm so picky over these silly Roblox piggy Peppa parody videos. So silly. I remember in a sequence like this, I really wanted to have a moment where the camera goes and drops all the way down. Something that actually kind of bugs me in real life is heights. I don't like heights. I don't like to be in high places. You're never going to catch me rock climbing. You're never going to catch me doing something crazy.
You're not climbing with that. You know that.
And so to play off of that and to play into like what would kind of bother me in this kind of a situation, this would be one of those moments that kind of him getting caught like that.
You don't have to comment that, so.
He could have been saved. Little things like that to make the sequence a little bit more fun to watch. And then for the NPCs at the bottom, the ones that are moving around while they're like they're hyenas waiting for a meal to drop. Again, simple trick. This is before I knew what Moon Animator was. This is before I knew how people animated Piggy videos. I used scripts. Very simple stuff. I learned basic coding, very, very, very basic, bare bones coding, and I would write down this script of where the NPCs are supposed to be walking to. And so this script here, it's telling the characters to go to.
You know, you just need to move that sort of way.
the red object's position, then the orange one, then the yellow one, then the green one, and they kind of go back and forth, and once it reaches the end, it cycles back through so that they continue on a loop. I put these things right here. It wasn't important for it to be all the way up here. I just remember whatever I was doing in the moment, it had it happen right here. But they would move between these objects from down below. And so they're following the position of it so that they're moving in accordance with it, so it looks like they're swarming around each other. When I click run, you'll see they're moving around like that. They're just following these dots from down there. They're following them over and over and over again. That's what's happening in that shot. Except for Clowny right now, who's wandering off and doing his own thing. You having fun, Clowny? You enjoying yourself? Go, Clowny. Frolic and be free. Anyway, I got them to do that, and then I simply moved the camera down as they were spinning around. I did this one shot where I was spinning to make it seem more chaotic as it was going down, but it looked stupid, so I got rid of it. What's actually funny about this particular moment is that After Effects had a difficult time tracking the camera motion, which I kind of figured would happen. So in this case, I don't think I actually used the 3D tracking for this one. What I actually did was I just made Jerry here an actual 3D image just on his own without the camera tracking, and then I just manually animated how he would fall, and that took some time trying to figure out exactly how it looks. It still looks kind of janky in my opinion, the way that he falls, but you gotta do what you gotta do. That took some time trying to figure out exactly how it looks.
You don't got animate that, like every time you have to fail, like, you know, so.
It's kind of janky in my opinion, the way that he falls, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Y'all hear that sound? That's my computer freaking out because I'm using After Effects and Character Animator. It just can't handle it. It's too much. Yeah, this was a funny animation to do. I got the body and the face animations, and I was just like moving around in circles. And then I grabbed his arms and legs while he was doing that, and I just flailed them all around. And so that was a fun little thing to do. Another moment that you might not realize was After Effects was this moment where Georgie starts crying. I remember in my brain, this was always a more...
Hey, you remember how George so yeah.
Comedic thing to me, as morbid as that might sound. I just think it's silly that we have this crying baby pig in this goofy, again, Peppa Pig parody inside of the Piggy video game, and they're crying over each other's deaths. It's actually humorous to me, and every time I watch this clip, I'm like, this is so silly that I did this, but every time, now when I watch it back, I'm like, I think this was trying a little too hard to be serious. I might have removed that. This was another After Effects thing where I had this shape layer, and they were these wavy tears. It was just like this wavy thing, and they would kind of move on their own. And essentially there was these masks to cover up where exactly they would be shown, and the shape comes up to make it look like there's tears swelling up in his eyes. Sometimes the simplest tricks can get you what you're looking for. Can get you to I don't know what I'm saying. I don't have to repeat myself. This was definitely a fun
you cannot say something like, you know, so.
In that it was really cool to play around with After Effects' 3D tracking. To be able to put these 2D characters in these 3D environments was really, really cool. And to play around with that and to just see what I could do to have fun with that was really cool. It was my first time doing it, though, which is why I had such a rough time with it at first. I thought it would be easier to manage than it actually was, and I had all these big ideas that I wanted to use with it, and I was doing way too much. So on one hand, it was a pain because I was doing so much I didn't know how to do, and it's like I didn't know how to use the software, and I thought I knew, but I really didn't. So it was a pain for that reason, trying to learn that, making so many mistakes, having to go back and fix mistakes, and having to go back and just be like, I don't really need this. I worked so hard on this one little thing, and I don't even need it in the end. There was a lot of moments like that, but it was also such a fun experience because
I definitely don't know that. So.
Of what I got in the end. I really had a lot of fun putting this thing together and being able to try out this new thing and seeing the way it all came together, because I would see it, you see it a certain way in your head, and then you see it on screen, and it's like, wow, that's pretty cool that I was even able to put anything together at all. Even if it ends up looking terribly, the fact that I even had an opportunity to try it and the opportunity to do it was really cool. I wouldn't do it again on my own, but I would love to.
I definitely know that, so.
Do more. I'm gonna do more stuff like this with Peppa vs. Piggy 3. I'm still gonna play around with things, but on a more manageable level. Thank you to all my bacon enthusiasts for watching this. If you guys would like to see me do more behind-the-scenes videos like this, then please let me know. It'd be fun to try to make more of these. Let me know what other kinds of scenes or sequences you'd like to see a more in-depth look at. Okay, that's it. Go away. Hotels.
Alright, ちょっと待って、顔はつやさばい。